Hey, what's up, Cowboys Nation? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we've got some big news coming straight out of Cowboys camp that you definitely don't want to miss. This one's a game changer for the team's defense, as we're talking about none other than breakout defensive lineman Osa Odighizuwa. With free agency just around the corner, there's a lot of buzz about what the Cowboys are going to do with this rising star, and let me tell you, there's a prediction floating around that they might be ready to make a $25 million move to keep him in the fold ahead of the deadline. Now you might be asking, what's the deal with Osa? Why all the urgency? Well, my friends, there's more to this than just stats. This could be a pivotal moment in the Cowboys' off-season strategy. So grab a seat, because we're diving into the details of why the Cowboys are working so hard to secure Osa's future with the team. From his breakout year to the possibility of a franchise tag and what it could mean for both Osa and the Cowboys long term, we've got it all covered today. Before we get started, don't forget to smash that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because we'll be keeping you up to date on everything Cowboys all off-season. Let's get into it. Alright, let's go back to where it all started for Osa Odighizuwa. The Cowboys took a chance on him in the third round of the 2021 NFL Draft, and let me tell you, they'd been rewarded. In just 4 seasons, Osa has transformed from a promising prospect into one of the most disruptive defensive linemen in the league. And it hasn't been a fluke. This guy has steadily improved year after year. But 2023, folks, that was Osa's breakout year. There's no better way to describe it. Osa finished the season with a career-high 47 tackles, a great achievement for an interior defensive lineman. But what really sets Osa apart is his ability to affect the quarterback. Last season, Osa recorded 23 quarterback hits, which was also a career high. These are the kinds of stats that make a defensive lineman elite. It's not just about tackles and sacks, it's about making the quarterback uncomfortable. And Osa did just that. But it's not just about getting after the QB. Osa's impact is felt in many different ways. He finished with 4.5 sacks, which, for a player on the interior line, is impressive. Add to that 10 quarterback hurries, and you've got a player who's not only stopping the run but also disrupting passing plays left and right. When you have a player who can push the pocket, collapse the quarterback's pocket, and create chaos like Osa does, you have something special. Let's not forget how versatile he is. Whether it's setting the edge against the run or flashing inside to generate pressure in passing situations, Osa is a game changer for the Cowboys defense. He's the kind of player who makes those around him better. And speaking of which, so why is all of this important for the Cowboys right now? Why the urgency to get a deal done with Osa? Well, the Cowboys front office has made it clear that they consider Osa a cornerstone piece of their defensive line moving forward. We're hearing it from Cowboys Executive Vice President Stephen Jones, who recently spoke to the Dallas Morning News and said, "We have had negotiations with Osa. I just think Osa is a really good football player. He's an important piece." And look, Cowboys fans, when the front office is that high on a player, you know there's something to it. The Cowboys are prioritizing locking down Osa, and here's why. It's not just about his production in 2023, it's about the long-term vision. Osa has all the tools to be a pillar in the defensive line for years to come. The Cowboys know that, and they also know that players like him are hard to come by. But here's the kicker: the NFL's free agency period opens next week, and the Cowboys do not want to lose Osa. The clock is ticking. Osa is heading into free agency, and once that door opens, it's going to be a scramble for his services. The last thing the Cowboys want is to see one of their best defensive players get poached by another team with more cap space or a greater need for his skills. This is why the Cowboys are aggressively working behind the scenes to get a deal done. They're pushing hard to lock him down before that free agency period begins, and they're getting closer and closer to making that happen. Now, let's talk about the franchise tag. For those of you who may not be completely familiar, The franchise tag is a way for a team to keep a player for one more year under a guaranteed salary. Essentially, it gives teams extra time to work out a long-term deal while preventing the player from testing the free agent waters. In Osa's case, the Cowboys are weighing the option of placing the franchise tag on him ahead of the March 4th deadline at 4 p.m. EST. Now, here's the big news: the franchise tag for Osa would be worth $25 million for the 2025 season. And while this sounds like a hefty sum, it actually makes a lot of sense when you break it down. At $25 million, Osa would be paid as one of the highest paid defensive linemen in the league for the 2025 season. While the Cowboys would love to sign him to a long-term deal, putting the franchise tag on him guarantees that they get one more year of Osa's services without him hitting the open market. It also gives both sides more time to hammer out the details of a longer contract. This is not a foreign move for the Cowboys. In fact, they've done it before with players like Dak Prescott. Remember that whole drama around Dak's contract? They slapped the franchise tag on him for a year to keep him in the fold before ultimately getting a deal done. And while the franchise tag isn't ideal for the player in the long run, Osa likely won't mind a one-year $25 million payday, especially since it buys him more time to secure a multi-year deal with the Cowboys. Now let's talk long-term. The franchise tag is just a temporary fix. It gives both sides time to negotiate, but ultimately, the Cowboys are hoping to lock Osa up for the future with a multi-year contract. So, what might that deal look like? According to the folks over at Spotrac, Osa's market value could be around $21 million per year on a long-term contract. If we break that down, that could translate into a 3-year, $63 million deal. And for Osa, that's going to be a life-changing contract. But here's the thing: the Cowboys are a team that's always looking at the bigger picture. They need to be careful with their cap space, and they need to build a team that can consistently contend. Osa's contract could have a significant impact on the Cowboys' financial flexibility, but it's a risk they're willing to take if it means securing one of the league's top young interior defensive linemen for the long haul. So, what does all of this mean for the Cowboys' future? Well, securing Osa Odighizuwa is more than just a good move, it's a strategic one. A defensive line anchored by Osa and Micah Parsons, well, that's a duo that could carry the Cowboys into the future. But beyond just the short-term value, locking Osa down for the long haul ensures that the Cowboys' defense remains elite for years to come. With Parsons on the edge, Osa in the middle, and other pieces on the defense continuing to develop, the Cowboys could be poised to make some serious noise in the NFC for a long time. The Cowboys' ability to manage their salary cap and make moves like these will ultimately determine how successful they are in the years ahead. But for now, securing Osa seems to be at the top of the list. So, Cowboys Nation, what do you think? Will the Cowboys get a deal done with Osa before the deadline, or will they be forced to use the franchise tag and extend the negotiations? How do you think this will affect the future of the team? I want to hear your thoughts in the comments below. And if you liked today's deep dive, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for all the latest Cowboys updates. I've got plenty more content on the way, and you won't want to miss any of it. Thanks for tuning in today, Cowboys fans. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.